Hey everybody, this is Everyday Commentary, and this is a really interesting knife. This is a prototype of the Urban EDC Supply Half Delta. And this is a knife designed by Dustin Snyder. It's being produced by Urban EDC Supply. You can pre-order it right now on their website for $100. They're supposed to be released in the spring. And I am not going to go through and do the normal review because this is a prototype and things might change, but I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like. This knife is designed to be a production version of a custom knife called the Half Delta, which itself is an iteration on Dustin Snyder's Delta. It's exactly half the size. So what you're getting is a very small knife here. I mean, as you can see, it is tiny. This is a 2.12-inch blade. The knife weighs 2 ounces. It is made overseas in China, and it is very well made. The knife has this deep carry, sort of over-the-top, sculpted titanium pocket clip. As is custom now, they knock off the corner to make it less pokey. The knife is a thumb stud knife. It pops open very nicely. And as you can see, this is a tanto. There is no version of this knife that is not a tanto. And I am not a tanto fan. And let me explain to you why. So, when you have a tanto, you have this really sharp tip, and then you have another tip, and then a belly. By making the knife this way, you have made it very difficult to sharpen the knife. I mean, I'm downstairs in my workshop, so I'll just grab it. I use this guy to sharpen knives, which is the Canadian Work Sharp. And I'm not going to sharpen this knife. But if I were, I'd sharpen it up to here. And then I'd have to switch and sharpen this. And then I'd have to do it on the same time. Over time, my experience has been that the Tanto's secondary tip kind of goes away, it wears down, and it loses all of its utility, but it still makes it difficult to sharpen. As opposed to something like the tip on this, which is sort of a typical drop point or clip point blade. You can sharpen all this at one time and go back and sharpen it pretty easily, and it still offers most, if not all, of the performance of the Tanto. That being said, when you have a knife this small, having multiple tips and multiple angles does give you a little bit more utility. So if there is a reason to have a tanto, it's having it on a small knife. It gives you a little bit more flexibility. But setting aside the blade shape and my preference for something else, I have to say that this knife is impeccably well made. It is just absolutely dialed in. The fit and finish here is incredible. I love the thumb stud, or the thumb disc. I'm a big thumb disc fan. I love my Emersons, so this is just a very nice little touch. It makes it very, very accessible. Part of the problem on small knives is that they're really hard to open. But by having a thumb disc here and this really nice scoop for the finger, you can almost always get this knife open with a single flick of your thumb. A really, really great knife. The lock here is a typical frame lock. It has an over travel, and it really is quite effective. There are 3 versions of this knife. There is a silver version with a blue clip. This is the blue version with the silver clip, and then there's a black version with a silver clip. The striations here give you a little bit of grip, but they're not offensive. They don't tear up or shred your pocket, and they look really, really nice. Everything about this knife is really well done. I love the size. It's just super tiny, and it drops right into the coin pocket on your jeans. I mean, this is a knife that just vanishes in the coin pocket of your jeans. It pairs very well, for example, with this flashlight, the Mouchon Aeon, which is one of my favorite flashlights ever. One of the things that I like to do is have stuff that's roughly the same size and same quality. And, this is a pretty good EDC. If you're talking about covering your 3 bases, there you go. And the fact that the Half Delta is among the smallest of those items is really impressive. It still has a pretty thick blade stock. I'd love to see a little bit thinner blade stock here. If you compare it to something like this knife, you can see that the Half Delta has a thicker blade stock than the Wingman EDC MT&T. Just slim that up a little bit, and I think that not only would you save a little bit on weight, you'd probably get under the 2 ounces, but it would also make the knife just that much slicier. The knife itself has a full hollow grind, or a mostly full hollow grind, as you can see. The last point is, I do think that there is a place for a tanto. I just don't like the Americanized tanto, and that's the one that has this really sharp tip. If you look at a classic Japanese tanto, it still has that complex geometry to bolster this area, but it's really just a smooth arc. And I think a knife like this with that smooth arc and the complex geometry, it would retain some of the utility of a tanto on a small knife, but it would not make it as difficult to sharpen. So other than the tanto, this is an absolute easy recommend for anyone. If you like tantos, you may as well just sign up for this. I do think that this knife is big enough to do all kinds of real tasks, but it's small enough that you can hide it on your person and carry it pretty easily. I look forward to seeing a production version of this knife. Obviously I don't think they're going to change the tanto because that's sort of the knife's calling card, but I would love to see slightly thinner blade stock here. The thinner the better. You really can't go wrong with the modern steels. By the way, this is L-Max. So you can't go wrong with these modern steels. They can get pretty thin and still be very, very tough and not chip out on the edge. So look for the real non-production or non-prototype full production version of this coming in the spring, and hopefully I'll have a review of it when it's released. This is an overview of the Urban EDC Supply prototype of the half Delta.